Spartans get ready for game number 3, the final non-conference contest. The Spartans will be welcoming in a brand new opponent to Chalmers Field here this Saturday night, as they'll be taking on Pacific University from out in Oregon. And we're going to talk about the Boxers a little bit later in the program. We're going to visit a little bit about Saturday's ball game against now number 7, University of Wisconsin-Platteville. The Spartans played well in stretches, and Platteville had all it could handle on Saturday, as the Spartans came up just a little bit short, though. 26-21 was the final score, and we'll break that game down with head coach Stan Zwiefel. We also have a couple of University of Dubuque players going to talk with us tonight. We've got from the offensive side of the ball, quarterback Zach Fry will be joining us, and on the defensive side of the ball, one of the Spartan safeties, Vinny Whipple, will be joining us here on our UD football show, coming to you from the University of Dubuque this evening, high above Chalmers Field. Gorgeous night. Like to be able to play football tonight, and probably going to have pretty nice conditions the way it sounds Saturday too. So come on out, support the Spartans in their final non-conference contest of the season as they take on Pacific. We're going to come back, and we're going to start talking with Coach Zwiefel about Saturday's tough loss to Wisconsin-Platteville. Look ahead to Saturday's contest against Pacific. We'll return with more of the UD Football Show with Coach Stan Zwiefel right after this on 101.1 The River. This is the UD Football Show on this Tuesday night, and we bring in now the head coach of the University of Dubuque Spartans, Stan Zwiefel. And Stan, thanks for coming up and talking about this past Saturday, and we'll look ahead here to Saturday.
Thanks, Tim. Always a pleasure to be here.
Well, tough loss again, 26-21 to a very good Wisconsin-Platteville team. You made no bones about it. You said this is going to be the toughest team we play on our schedule,
yep.
No question. And Platteville did come out and play well. Rocky start, turnover on a promising opening drive, but then Platteville turned that into a touchdown. But then after that, seemed to settle in and play much better.
Yeah, you know, Tim, as I mentioned to you after the game, I really think that we much improved from the Saturday prior, but we're still not as clean. And by clean, I mean not making mistakes, both offensively and defensively. And I really thought had we played a cleaner game, we might have been able to win that game. And, Tim, I still believe they're probably one of the best teams in the country. And they showed that in a variety of ways, but I was really proud of our men. I told our men after the game I was proud of their effort. We played hard enough to win, but we still continue to make mistakes. In those first 2 games, Tim, I would tell you that if we could go back and erase those mistakes, I think we would have had a chance to be 2-0, but they don't give you that opportunity. Again, we're trying really hard to clean the mistakes up that we're making, and those mistakes are correctable errors, whether they be a poor snap or a poor read, or we don't get a line correctly, or we don't make a call correctly. Those are all things that can be corrected.
Mm-hmm. Well, you trailed after the end of the first quarter, actually the start of the second quarter, 10-0, but then your offense started to spark, and you said during your pregame chat that you need to get your big play men involved.
Yep.
And Zach Fry was able to hook up with Tyler Rutenbeck and start to get the offense flowing.
I know that really is going to be a hallmark of our offense. We do have to make big plays, and those big plays sometimes will really turn the momentum. And I thought when we got 10-7 and they scored, then we brought it back with that draw play to Alec Arventakis that brought us back. I really felt that we were probably playing as good as we could play during those 2 or 3 drives. But again, a couple things happened that just disallowed us. We had a jump off sides on a big 3rd and 3 that really, I thought, many times, in my opinion, as I go back and look at the film over and over again, are there some things that you can pick out that maybe change the course of the game? There were a couple plays had we made or they didn't make, we probably could have won that game. But, hey, hats off to UW-Platteville. They're a good football team, Tim. Very, very good football team. Physical, and they played very well. And so, again, we just got to keep improving. And it's really more about us than it is ever about our opponent. But that game was a game I think we can carry some positives from. But, Tim, really for me when I left the field after the game, a loss is a loss. Boy, they hurt. God, you work so very hard. Your players work so very hard. Everybody works so very hard. And sometimes it's really disappointing when you lose a game.
Defensively, seems like they were able to run the football on you. You talked about their wide receivers being great blockers, and that was really evident in that football game as they really sealed off some of your defenders and allowed those lanes to open up.
You know, you really pick your poison against them, I think. You're really either going to load that box and make them throw the ball, or you're going to play a little bit soft and take away their quick screens. And our game plan was defensively, and I thought we executed about as good as we possibly can, because you'd have told me to held them to 26 points, I'd have thought we had a good chance to win that game. They had scored 63 the week before, and they're very high-powered. They ran the ball probably better than we thought they were going to, but as I told you last week in the show, that's been the difference in their offense over the last 4 years. He's run the ball more now, and that back they have is really, really good. They ran the ball very well between the 20s, but inside the 20-yard line, we did a heck of a job in red zone, keeping them out of the end zone, and really put that game in a position that we had a chance to win. At the end of the game, had we been able to stop them, who knows? I don't know if we'd have won or not, but I sure felt I wanted one more opportunity. But again, I think that was well executed by our defensive staff and our defensive players. And maybe they ran it a little bit more than we expected them to, but it sure worked out on the scoreboard the way we wanted it to.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really came easy for them.
No,
Your
they
defense
didn't.
played
Yes,
well.
right, very much so.
Well, as you look ahead and gain some lessons from this ball game, of course, you know, when you play great opponents, you're going to expose some things that you need to work on. And what were some of those things you come away with that you're going to use to prepare for the Iowa Conference schedule ahead in just a few weeks here?
You know, one of the things, and I think it is, again, it seems like redundant in football, but if you don't beat yourself, you got a hell of a chance to win. And we did some really great things, but again, we had some snap problems. We did some things, and I just thought did not do some things correctly in our schemes. So we can clean those schemes up. And then, of course, we had a new center, and that really became very evident to us as the game progressed. And surely it's not anybody's fault that we lost. It's surely the team. But one of the things that happened in that game because of our errant snaps out of our pistol, we had to get back underneath the center and do some things that we had not planned to do. But that's what happens. And I thought we overcame those things and played well in spite of that. But the biggest thing, I think, Tim, is always as a football coach, man, you'd like to go through a game without turning it over, without having silly penalties. And I still can't say that that's what we did last Saturday. So those areas are something we can control. It's really our team can control those things I talk about. You can't control about a guy making great runs or missing a tackle, but you sure as heck control about making mistakes.
We're on the UD Football Show with head football coach Stan Zwiefel here on this Tuesday night. Coach, how's the injury situation for your team as you get ready for game number 3?
You know, we're probably very close to being 100%. We lost 2 players on Saturday. Tyler Dobrat's our really one of our really great kids, been with us for 4 years, an outstanding student. We're going to have a chance to be an academic All-American this year. We think he's got an ACL. We get the definitive answer tomorrow. Tim, he sees the specialist tomorrow, but we could lose him for the season. He's been our starting tight end, either our first or second tight end for 3 years here, and I was sick when it happened to him, and I feel terrible for him. I feel terrible. Anybody gets hurt, but when you're a senior and you have an injury this early in the season that could cost you your season, that's difficult stuff. Chad Sadowski, our starting will backer, our weak outside linebacker, got a calf contusion. I think he's going to be able to play Saturday. I don't know if he's going to be able to practice a lot this week, but those are the 2 injuries that have been most significant. Other than that, I think most of our players will be 100% healthy for this coming game.
So your starting center
is going to be back. Mike
That's
Murphy
great.
will be back, yes.
Well, that certainly will be good news. And
yes.
For your team, as you mentioned, the center position so key in that game against Platteville. But it's good to get your backup some opportunities in case he gets called up,
especially against that kind of team. Tim,
exactly,
that kind of team.
Oh, well, as you look at the Iowa Conference after the first 2 weeks of the season, what sticks out to you?
We have a couple teams that are undefeated. Simpson's undefeated. Wartburg's undefeated. Wartburg really took it to Bethel, who was a team that beat him in the quarterfinals last year in the playoffs. And I think Wartburg is really firing on all gears right now, and I haven't had a chance to watch tape on those guys. They're too far away for us to be looking at that. Simpson is 2-0, although I think their competition level has probably not been the same as some other. And, of course, the team we open up the Iowa Conference, Luther, is 2-0, and I'm sure they're excited as heck up there. And, I think the conference is just like I thought it was going to be. I think it's going to be very good from top to bottom. I think the top 4 teams, again, will be the guys that we've talked about in the past. But I think as we look at the conference schedule, probably the teams that are playing the most competitive schedules right now are probably us and Wartburg. And, of course, we're just hoping that'll get us ready for our first conference game.
It is 6:43 here on this Tuesday night, and we're going to continue talking with head coach Stan Zwiefel. We'll talk about Saturday's opponent as a new opponent on the UD schedule, and the first time ever these two teams have met. Pacific University out of Oregon coming to Chalmers Field on Saturday night, and we'll get Coach's take on that ball game, find out a little bit more about their opponent, and then we'll be talking with some of the UD football players when we come back. You're listening to the UD Football Show with Stan Zwiefel here on 101.1 The River. We're on the air here Tuesday night from Chalmers Field prior to the next University of Dubuque football broadcast. And I do want to make a programming note. Thanks for Coach reminding me because the Spartans have a bye week. Next week we will not have a UD football show, but then we'll return right before the Iowa Conference matchup, the first one on the schedule, Saturday, October the 4th at Luther. But coming into Dubuque this Saturday will be Pacific University, the Boxers, and they are from the Northwest Conference, and very good football team a year ago, 7-win team, and relatively a new program.
Yes.
Well, a program they revitalized after being gone for a little while. They started up the program about 5 years ago, so I'd say they've done pretty well, going 7-3 in their fourth year.
Yeah, he's really done a nice job up there. He's was the former offensive coordinator at UC Davis, and anybody knows football, UC Davis dominated Division II for about 20 years in the 90s and the early 2000s. Now moved to 1AA, and he's really put together a very nice football program. They play in, I think, the third or second best conference in the country in Division III. Northwest Conference has Willamette and Linfield, perennial NCAA division playoff teams, and they're very, very good. I'll tell you this about Pacific, Tim, which really sticks out to me as I watch tape. They're fast. They've got good team speed, and they always remind me of what a West Coast team is. A lot of guys that can run. They have 17 or 18 guys on their roster from Hawaii. They have another 10 or 11 Samoans, and they play really hard, and they run really, really well. They're playing a kind of an offense that's very similar to us in many ways. When I watched them, I think it's more traditional style, getting in two-back, running the football inside and outside zone, play action pass, and on defense, like most of the West Coast teams, Tim, they're going to go ahead and do a lot of pressures. We had them blitzing 41 snaps out of 84 in their last game, so almost 50% of the time they've got some kind of 5-man, 6-man pressure. So they'll bring some things that we don't see all the time. What I'm really excited and what I'm trying to tell our men is, and when I talk to them, this is a great intersectional game between two outstanding conferences in Division III. We've chosen to play the WIAC teams because they're the best conference in the country. You could argue that the MIAC with the Minnesota schools in the Northwest Conference, those will probably end up being the second or third best Division III football conference. And we're playing University of Pacific. Pacific University, who was last year, like you said, only 2 losses and really an outstanding football program, and we're going to go out there a year from now, which will be a great trip for our men. But to me, it's about playing people intersectionally where you guys don't get a chance to see those type of guys and get yourself tested in a non-conference game.
Defensively, what are they going to do against you?
You know, I think they're going to bring a lot of pressure against us. We think we've got some good matchups in our throw game. But again, Tim, we got to get cleaner. We got to make sure we're cleaner in our protection schemes. We got to make sure we're cleaner in our snap, especially our pistol snap. If we get those things taken care of, I think we'll have a chance to, match up with them very favorably in the offensive wide receivers against their DBs. But I'm going to tell you now, they're going to make some plays because they will come after you. They're going to make some plays in the run game when they blitz, and they're going to make some plays in the pass game when they blitz. Again, to us, we got to take care of what we can take care of, and I think we're going to have a chance to have some big play opportunities against them.
They are 0-1, coming off of a bye week for them. Lost a tough one to College of Idaho, 35-34, which I think was a bit of a surprise. I think I saw College of Idaho just restarted their football program.
They've been a junior college program for many years, and of course, when we saw that film, it looked like I mentioned earlier, West Coast teams, guys just running around. 5 wideouts, 4 wideouts, just really, really fast. And so there are a lot of those things taking place. But Yeah, I think it's going to be really a lot of fun for us, a great challenge for our conference, and for us, of course, to represent our conference against a quality team out of the Northwest Conference.
Well, Stan, before we let you go, any final thoughts before you get ready for game number 3 on the calendar here?
You know, I got a lot of guys that call me. A lot of my coaching buddies called me after the first game and made sure I wasn't kept all sharp objects away from me. And then last week they called me and said, geez, you must be really excited. I said, it's dang tough to get excited when you lose, and it really is. And we need a win, Tim. We really need to play well and get a win on Saturday, no matter how it happens, whether it's 100-99 or it's 2-0, whatever that deal is. We've got to find a way to get a win and get ourselves back on track.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time and want to encourage Spartan fans to come on out. Should be a beautiful night on Saturday night, 6 o'clock here at Chalmers Field. We'll be on the air with the pregame show here on 101.1 The River, and also on the website, the University of Dubuque website link, and that'll be at 5:40 here on Saturday evening. So, Coach, we'll let you
Thanks,
go.
Jim.
We'll get a chance to meet your young men here. A quick word about the two guys that are going to be coming over here in a minute, Zach Fry and also Vinny Whipple.
You know, Vinny's an original guy here, came as a freshman, and has been a 4-year player for us. He was an all-conference kid last year, and Zach Fry's one of my favorite stories. He transferred to us from Moorhead State and was a backup to some awful good quarterbacks here and chose to use his 4th year of eligibility for us, and we're very excited that he did. And both those guys have been with us for 4 years respectively, so they've been a real part of the program and seen some of the growth that's taken place. And they're as hungry as I am to get a win here. Now we got to get this thing, as I mentioned, we got to get her back on the right track.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to talking with you during your pregame interview, then coming up Saturday. Thanks for joining us here tonight, Coach.
You bet, Tim. Thank you.
All right, that's Stan Zwiefel, head football coach here at the University of Dubuque. When we come back in our final segment, we'll talk to those Spartan football players, Vinny Whipple and Zach Fry. In no particular order. We'll let them fight which one wants to come on first. And we'll be back with that when we return here on 101.1 The River. Hey, we're back on this Tuesday night, and we're going to talk with a couple of the UD football players here. First, Zach Fry puts on the headsets, quarterback for the Spartans this season, 6'4", 235-pound senior out of Milton, Wisconsin. And Zach, thanks for coming on up here to talk with us here tonight about the season.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Well, your thoughts on the season so far after the first 2 games?
Well, we're 0-2, and that's never where you want to be. So we're going to go out this week and try and get that first victory and then carry that into the conference play and try to do the best that we can.
Feels like the offense, just watching you did take a step forward, even though it was a loss, and Coach Zwiefel's not into moral victories, but seems like things, especially starting that second quarter, really started to click with you guys.
Definitely. Against lacrosse, that's not Spartan offensive football. Over the past 4 years, we've been a lot better than we were against lacrosse, 6 turnovers. But then against Platteville, top 10 team in the country, you start to get things rolling, you build your confidence. A couple long plays, Tyler going up, making those great catches that he did. We're starting to get in the right direction where we need to be.
Mm-hmm. For you, coming to the University of Dubuque and coming out of Moorhead State, waiting your turn now to be the starting quarterback, it's got to be a great feeling to have the reins of this football team this year.
It really is. Sitting behind Wyatt for 2 years, great quarterback, best statistical quarterback in school history. And then Brian coming in last year, battling through a personal injury myself. I had a shoulder surgery 2 years to repair my labrum. So I battled through that, sat behind Wyatt, learned a lot. Brian learned a lot, and now it's my team and see what we can do with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've got plenty of weapons around you. That's got to be pretty comforting when you've got an All-American receiver to throw to and some other guys with experience, and the backfield's starting to come along a little bit.
Exactly. Tyler Rudenbeck, awesome receiver to throw to, along with Chris Bagley. They're both 6'3 plus, so when you're playing cornerbacks who are typically 5'10 or shorter, it's really great to go to them. Tough hit with Tyler Dobratz going out this past week. Lee Jones is a great tight end for us. And then Alec Arvantakis, that great draw play that he had against Platteville, really starting to get things rolling on offense. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm. When adversity hits, you throw an interception, you have to have a short memory as a quarterback, don't you?
Yeah.
To just kind of talk about how hard it is to put something like that in the rearview mirror and, what you focus on then and lead the team. It was evident you were able to do that after the first interception against Platteville on Saturday.
That's always in football. There's always a next play. The next play is coming, and so you have to get over it quickly. Short memory, like you said, and that's a trait that all the great quarterbacks have. And hopefully, I can start to build on what we did with Platteville and start to throw more touchdowns and less interceptions and go from there.
We talked about your weapons, but I think we probably better talk about your offensive line. Yeah. Otherwise, you might get in a little trouble.
Yeah. Dominic Ravenel, left tackle, awesome, huge guy to have up there up front, All-American. Pat Cusack, our left guard, very good. Actually, the only offensive lineman that hasn't given up a quarterback hit or sack this whole season.
Oh, you like him?
I like him. He's my buddy. And then Mike Murphy went down after week 1, so Ben came in, and he's doing all right. A little struggle with the snapping, but, of course, he's never been in that position before. And so I think he's getting over those jitters. Him and I have talked, and so if his number's called again, then he'll do great. We got Tanner Bronkema. He's been really good even as a freshman, and now he's doing really good. And then Jake Naylor, who's also a senior. They're coming along. They're pretty good.
Well, before we let you go here, you're from Milton, Wisconsin. What can you tell us famous about Milton, Wisconsin?
When I was there, we were in the midst of a 9-year straight conference football championship run.
That's awesome.
And so that's something special that I hold for my hometown.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That's awesome. Well, Zach, we'll look forward to seeing you line up on Saturday against the Pacific Boxers, and wish you the best of luck the rest of the season. We'll look forward to watching you behind center there.
Thanks, Tim. Go
All
Spartans.
right. Yeah, we're going to bring Vinny Whipple on over here now and let him grab the headsets and just pass those on, and Vinny can come in on camera here. And Vinny is sporting a Kansas City Royals hat right now, but what's up with that? Are you a Royals fan, Vinny?
I just got a bunch of different hats.
Oh, yeah? I like that hat because I've been a Royals fan for a long time, so you did good wearing that to the program. Also a Cardinals fan, but Royals fan as well. Well, you're another senior member of the Spartan team, Vinny, playing on the defensive side of the ball. At safety, 5'11", 185-pound senior out of Eagle Grove, Iowa. And talk about your thoughts on the defensive play so far this year.
We've been all right. Been decent. I feel like we need to start making more plays. We don't have a sack yet, and we only have 2 interceptions, which isn't good enough yet. But we're going to make it there. We haven't played our best game yet. And when we do, it's going to shock some people, I feel like.
How important is that for the defense to get those turnovers to help out the football team? And just comment on that, how you're going to try to go about doing that.
Well, you got to attack ball carriers and just break on balls. That's one of our focus points as a defense is takeaways, and we need to do a better job.
You led the team in tackles on Saturday of 12, but that's probably not the safety's job, right? That shows maybe that's an area where the defense needs to make a little improvement.
Well, that was just, we just didn't have the game we needed to have that day. We had a great improvement, I feel like, though, from week 1 to week 2, and I feel like we're going to keep improving.
Coach Zwiefel has just bragged up and down about the defensive secondary this year. The cornerbacks, the safeties, and just he said the most talented that he's had in a number of years. And talk about that group of D-backs. I mean, you guys could have a real special year.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of guys. We had C.J. Watson was coming back. He played our freshman year here. He started as a freshman. When we won a conference championship, he went down the first day of practice with an ACL injury. So that was a big loss, but we got a lot of guys, a lot of good young guys that are going to come in, make plays, and we just fly around.
When you guys play Pacific, are you pretty excited about playing a new opponent? How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, it is exciting, especially from the distance they have to travel. I'm pretty pumped about seeing these guys and seeing what they're about. The West Coast football is about.
What gets you most pumped up on the defensive side of the ball, making a play?
Seeing my teammates make a play and get fired up about it.
Yeah. You just seem watching you on the field. You don't. I mean, you don't take a play off. You're playing hard to the ball and flying to the ball. And I mean, what do you have to have a special nose for the football to be a safety?
I was just always taught to get to the ball, make a play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you think about Coach Sweefel and what he's meant as a coach to you over the last 4 years, let's talk about what kind of impact that's had on you.
Coach Z is great. Like, he's done more for me than I can say about a lot of people. He's always been there for me, always had my back on anything that happens, and I just love the guy.
Can you believe it's your senior season? I mean, we're talking about this being the last go-around for college football for you.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just flew.
Yeah.
So fast.
It just does go by very quickly. Well, you're from Eagle Grove, Iowa. What can you tell us important that's in Eagle Grove, Iowa? What makes Eagle Grove famous? He has to think about this one.
Yeah. Not sure what makes it famous, but I just love my town.
Yeah.
I don't know what town loves me.
Yeah, well, hopefully there'll be some Eagle Grove folks out in the stands. Do many folks from back home get to come and watch you play?
Actually, last year, or maybe it was the year before, I think the football team came out, the old football team.
Awesome.
I know my coach has been out a couple of times.
Awesome.
And some friends. Yep.
Well, hopefully I'll get a chance to come out and watch you play again this year. And Vinny will enjoy watching you play the rest of the season. Thanks for joining us. Best of luck to you and the Spartans.
Thank you.
All right, Vinny Whipple, safety for the UD Spartans, joining us here. And that is going to put a lid on our UD football show for this Tuesday night. Thanks to Coach Sweefel, also Zach Fry and Vinny Whipple for joining us here. And don't forget to tune in Saturday night as the Spartans do take on the Pacific Boxers. Jim Cloran and I will be on with pregame coverage at 5:40, kickoff right around 6 o'clock from here at Chalmers Field. Thanks for tuning in and have a great evening. I'm Tim Larry on 101.1 The River.